After review, it has been determined that the receiver did not maintain.
Quarterback's arm is going forward. It is an
Oh, man, what a call that is.
That's the worst call in the history of all sports.
Deciding who wins the game on this call.
Under review. The call on the field stands. Touchdown.
After review, it has been determined that the receiver did not maintain.
quarterback's arm is going forward. It is an
Oh, man, what a call that is.
That's the worst call in the history of all sports.
Deciding who wins the game on this call.
Under review. The call on the field stands. Touchdown.
After review, it has been determined that the receiver did not maintain.
quarterback's arm is going forward. It is an
Oh, man, what a call that is.
That's the worst call in the history of all sports.
Deciding who wins the game on this call.
Under review. The call on the field stands. Touchdown.
After review, it has been determined that the receiver did not maintain.
quarterback's arm is going forward. It is an
Oh, man, what a call that is.
That's the worst call in the history of all sports.
Deciding who wins the game on this call.
Under review. The call on the field stands. Touchdown.
After review, it has been determined that the receiver did not maintain.
quarterback's arm is going forward. It is an
Oh, man, what a call that is.
That's the worst call in the history of all sports.
Deciding who wins the game on this call.
Under review. The call on the field stands. Touchdown.
After review, it has been determined that the receiver did not maintain.
quarterback's arm is going forward. It is an
Oh, man, what a call that is.
That's the worst call in the history of all sports.
Deciding who wins the game on this call.
Under review. The call on the field stands. Touchdown.
After review, it has been determined that the receiver did not maintain.
quarterback's arm
That's the worst call in the history of all sports.
Deciding who wins the game on this call.
Under review. Call on the field stand. Touchdown.
After review, it has been determined that the receiver did not maintain.
Quarterback's arm was going forward. It is the
Oh, man, on a call that is.
That's the worst call in the history of all sports.
Deciding who wins the game on this call.
Under review. Call on the field stand. Touchdown.
After review, it has been determined that the receiver did not maintain.
quarterback's arm was going forward. It is the
Oh, man, on a call that is.
That's the worst call in the history of all sports.
Deciding who wins the game on this call.
Under review. Call on the field stand. Touchdown.
After review, it has been determined that the receiver did not maintain.
quarterback's arm was going forward. It is the
Oh, man, on a call that is.
That's the worst call in the history of all sports.
Deciding who wins the game on this call.
Under review. Call on the field stand. Touchdown.
After review, it has been determined that the receiver did not maintain.
quarterback's arm was going forward. It is the
Oh, man, on a call that is.
That's the worst call in the history of all sports.
Deciding who wins the game on this call.
Under review. Call on the field stand. Touchdown.
After review, it has been determined that the receiver did not maintain.
quarterback's arm was going forward. It is the
Oh, man, on a call that is.
Welcome to another bad call where the refs aren't the only ones who get it wrong. Justin here with my man JD. What's poppin'?
What's up, white guy? How you doing?
Oh man, it's Friday night. It's we got a good slate of football on tap. We had
Yes.
all the football in the world last week, which was pretty awesome. I mean, not all of the games were awesome, but it was awesome to have 6 playoff games on a weekend. And I don't know, I probably about broke even on the week. I don't know. It wasn't, I mean, it's hard, between the prop bets and the DFS to keep track of. Wasn't terrible, wasn't great. Actually, maybe my Monday night action got me back to even. I don't know.
All right.
The national championship game. So
that I did not partake in. I had a pretty decent week. They had the no-brainer bet, so I threw $25 into my account and then put that down. So after I put that $25 bet and I had put in all my entries for the weekend, I was down to I think like maybe $10 maybe in the account, and basically the prop bets and a little bit of the DFS, I ended the weekend at 100. So I had a pretty profitable weekend using the prop bets and everything.
nice, and that I guess that means you're all set to give it all back this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I had played quite a bit last week because having two slates, I think I had 3 entries into the play action plus our weekly tournament for both days, and I won't have to do that as much this time around because I'm not playing as much for the 2 separate days. I haven't looked at the prop bets yet either. And I actually did not play any showdowns last week either. So.
Yeah, I might have played one showdown just because I was frustrated, but I didn't like having the 2 separate slates so much. I preferred the full slate, but there just wasn't the contest availability on that full 6 games. However, this week I do like it. It's the full 4 games on DraftKings. FanDuel's doing it different. They're doing 2 separate 2-game slates, but I don't play on FanDuel that much DFS wise anyway.
Yeah, I haven't checked my FanDuel in a while. I've been sticking pretty much to the DraftKings, but that aside, before we get into the games, which game are you looking forward to the most this weekend? That's our vote. If you're on Facebook, you get to vote. So which game are you looking forward to the most?
I think from a pure football standpoint, as far as I think it has the potential to be the best game. I really like that Buffalo-Baltimore game. I mean, I do have a little bit of interest in that for my playoff fantasy, but I think that those 2 teams are an interesting matchup.
Yes.
So, and then we got the Grandpa Bowl, the retirement party.
Yeah, did you catch the Frank Caliendo Morgan Freeman thing over? It was like a History Channel Brady versus Breeze as old men, and Frank Caliendo did a Morgan Freeman narration. Did you catch that?
No, I didn't see that.
Classic.
I did see the picture that Tom Brady posted the other day of the 2 of them as even older gentlemen.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny.
Where Breeze is balding.
Yeah.
So there's that picture, and then over that picture you hear Frank Caliendo doing a Morgan Freeman narration, and it's fantastic. You'll have to go on the old Twitter sphere and check that out.
Check that one out. Yeah, absolutely.
It's pretty entertaining. I actually selected the Baltimore Buffalo game just because I think that one's going to be just fun to see those 2 quarterbacks go at it. We're going to see which one of them falters, or if either one of them falters, because I mean there is that narrative still. Lamar beat one team, and really the defense is what did that. Got them through that game, holding Derrick Henry to 40 yards or whatever it was. I'm not to say, I mean, Lamar had a good game. They rushed all over the place, but we expected that because Tennessee's defense just isn't good, but they kept Derrick Henry in check, and that really made a difference in that game. So we're gonna see how Josh Allen does against that defense this week. Also go ahead.
Oh no, I mean, I guess we could talk about it more when we start to dive into the game.
I'm also really intrigued as a guy that just loves defensive football. I'm really intrigued to see how the Rams handle the Packers. Like I can't wait for that one.
Yeah.
I haven't looked, but I hope the weather's clear, because I don't want it to be a snow game, because that really changes things, unfortunately.
Yeah, it seems like snow games make it harder on the defense. Really.
Yeah, and that'd be an unfair advantage to me looking at it for the Packers, and I really want to see these two teams as even keel as you can get. Going into Lambeau, that defense versus that offense.
Yep. All right. Well, you wanna dive in here?
Yeah, I mean,
that's the first game on the slate. So we've got the Rams at Green Bay. It's it opened as a 46.5 under. It's come back to 46. With the Packers as a 6.5 point favorite with an implied total of 60 or 26.25. And the Rams have an implied total of 19.75, lowest on the weekend. Obviously, the Rams have been battling injury at the quarterback position, and probably I don't know. Safe to say, he's either the low. He'd probably be the lowest ranked quarterback on the slate, left from a talent standpoint. Anyway, I'm guessing. I don't know. Him and Brady Quinn or Baker Mayfield might be battling out for that designation. But
yeah, it's really, really interesting. I mean, depending on which Jared Goff shows up. I mean, you want to talk about a Jekyll and Hyde. It reminds me to an extent of a Trubisky type, where every now and then he'll have that like one game where you're like, oh, maybe there's something there, but then more often than not, you get a very mediocre performance out of him. He is battling the injured thumb. For me, I'm looking at this as what's so interesting to me about this is the battle of, you've got the NFL's number one scoring offense going against the NFL's number one defense as far as points allowed. From a passing standpoint, the Rams are only giving up 190.7 yards a game through the air. Packers are putting up 256 with 3 touchdowns. Rushing, they're putting up 132 yards a game. The Rams are only allowing 91 yards a game. So that dynamic will be really interesting to see. And the matchup everybody's talking about is, will Devontae Adams beat Ramsey, or will Ramsey beat Adams? I think they're going to move Adams around a lot. So you're not really going to see a whole lot of that one-on-one Ramsey versus Adams as much as you might think. I think they're really going to move him around and get him the ball, because if you can stop Adams, I think you really have a good shot at winning this game. I just don't see how you stop Adams at this point. So it's going to be a really, really fun game to watch.
So, I agree. The both of these teams they're the top 2 teams in the league from time of possession standpoint. Both of them held the ball for over 32 minutes a game. So that's interesting. The one of the keys, I think, and they're saying Aaron Donald, at least right now, they're saying he's not feeling the pain or anything. Which last week he had a little bit of a rib injury. He says he's good to go. So if in case that is the fact, if in fact that is the case,
There you go.
I have
Bay.
one. I had one sip of the hop slam, and I'm already
This
getting
guy.
tongue tied there. But with David Bakhtiari out, and I believe their right tackle is banged up as well, creates interesting dynamic. If I think, how do you stop Devontae Adams? I think is get to Aaron Rodgers. So if that line can do it, Leonard Floyd, he's got to have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder against the Packers too. Even though he's in LA now, he's still a Bear, so he had to have developed some of that nastiness.
The disdain that all Bears have for the Packers.
He's gonna go up there and have an MVP game and just rub it in the Bears and Ryan Pace's face is what's gonna happen.
Yeah, he's another player that I was upset that they let go, but we're not going to get into the whole Ryan Pace sucks thing.
No, I mean that's a fact, so we don't need to.
I mean,
we don't need to debate it.
And I mean, really, for me, that's what this game comes down to: is you've got a really good offense against a really good defense, and then you have
the Packers aren't too shabby either.
Well, and that's just it. You've got a mediocre offense, especially with an injured Jared Goff, versus a pretty decent defense. So it may come down to that's what it is can the Rams offense do anything against Green Bay's defense, as opposed to the other way around that that everybody's focusing on.
And so that is the matchup that it will be interesting, because the strength of the Rams is their run game, and we have seen teams beat the Packers up on the ground on occasion this year.
112 yards a game.
So, they gave up like 200 yards to Dalvin Cook earlier this year. And you got Cam Akers, seemingly looked pretty healthy last week.
Yep.
And really the Rams figured it out towards the end of the season, as using him as their go-to guy. So if the Rams can start controlling the clock early and wear down the Packers a little bit, get Rodgers and company a little bit frustrated, they might be able to stay in the game. So now, from a betting standpoint, unfortunately, I think that I'll take the Packers -6.5 if I'm betting the game.
All right. Well, there you have it. There's your betting advice. I mean, I don't want to spend too long just basically repeating everything we're saying. So, do you have anything left on this game before we move on to the next one?
No, I mean, I think obviously Adams is your best play from a positional standpoint.
I mean, we're gonna build a lineup so we can.
Yeah. So I just this game from a DFS standpoint, I think is probably one that I would have smaller pieces of. Though we saw the Cleveland defense at a low price and low expectations last week change the slate, so I wouldn't be surprised if I'll have some shares of the Rams defense.
Yeah, so we'll get into the whole Cleveland thing later on, because it had a very similar feel to another big game that started out basically the same way. So little tease there. All right, let's move on to the next game.
So the next game, Saturday night, we've got the Ravens at Buffalo. The game opened at 49. It stays at 49. It opened as a 3-point, as with Buffalo as a 3-point favorite. That has changed slightly and is sitting with Buffalo as a 2.5-point favorite. So small little pressure on the Ravens, pushing up there, and interesting matchup. What I was gonna start talking about earlier is that the Ravens are the number one. They blitz the most out of any defense, and then I heard earlier. I think it was on the TJ Hernandez, the 4for4 podcast, that Josh Allen is ranked number one facing the blitz. So, and we know that the Bills' run offense has taken a little bit of a hit to it as Zach Moss is out for the remainder of the season. Devin Singletary, not exactly a banger type back. I think they've called up TJ Yeldon, who, when's the last time he played in the NFL?
And signed Devontae Freeman.
Yeah. So.
Yep.
And then obviously on the other side of the ball, you got the Ravens with one of the the top run offense in yards per carry, and Lamar Jackson really starting to get back, maybe not even 2019 form. He's made more like 2018, where he's not even trying to pass the ball that much.
Yeah, if he was smart. So we talked about the Green Bay game, the Green Bay Los Angeles game. You've got a good offense against, a really good offense against a really good defense, and there's a lot of that here too. I mean, when you look at it, the Ravens defense is ranked second, at least out of these teams. So I mean, not like overall, just out of these teams. And then the Bills offense is ranked second. So you've got that same dynamic of 2-2, just out of these teams, not overall in NFL, as far as points scored per game. The difference between this game and the other game for me is that in the other game you've got a probably MVP quarterback versus does my whole hand work quarterback, and in this one you've got I can run and barely pass, and then you've got another young guy on the other side that can run, but he's got a cannon. So this one to me is why that game's more exciting, is because of the two quarterbacks and the dynamic there between offensive and defense. The losing Zach Moss actually affects this game a great deal in my mind, because he was kind of more of their, like when they got into trouble, needed a receiving back type. That was more Moss, a better pass blocker, I think, than Singletary. So I think that does help them or hurt them a little bit. This could come down to whoever gets the first score. I think whoever scores first wins this game.
Wow.
To put the pressure on the other team. Because you want to see which quarterback's going to falter. And I think that they call him, I don't know if you watch Good Morning Football, but they call him Sugar High Josh Allen. If they hit the Sugar High Josh Allen where he like just chucks it all over the place, because they're faltering a little bit, because Baltimore goes down and scores right away, then I think Baltimore scores this. But if the Bills score first and Lamar immediately feels that pressure of, okay, now I've got to do everything, and he starts throwing it, kind of like what they did against Tennessee last year, where Tennessee got up and then he had to throw it and it was game over. I think that's where we're at. Just a personal gut, if you will.
Yeah, and so the interesting. So I was just thinking about this game, and with Zach Moss, he was kind of their goal line back, too, short yardage back, which is probably gonna with him out, I would guess gonna force Allen into using his legs a little bit more in this game. And I was just went to look at the rushing total that's out there on DK Sportsbook, and it's over 38.5. Over under 38.5. What do you
For Josh Allen?
for Josh Allen?
I might take the over. I don't like the matchup from a defensive standpoint, just because the Ravens are fast. But I think, like, with missing Moss, he may have to.
Yeah, he's the over at 38.5 is minus 124, and the under is even money. So that tells me it's getting bet up. I don't know if I want to jump on it or wait for it to move a couple yards and get better odds. I'm not sure. I have to shop on that one. I know that I did bet Devin Singletary over 42.5 yards rushing.
Okay.
Just because I think he gets all of the running back touches, and so it's not. I'm not saying it's a no-brainer, but I think that it a starting running back, even if they're going to get 12 to 15 touches in the NFL, is likely going to get to 50 yards. So receivers, obviously, Baltimore's got one wide receiver that's worth a damn, and he's questionable. And not from an injury standpoint, but from a standpoint of being able to catch the damn ball. He seems to drop the ball a lot. And then Mark Andrews is really his de facto number one receiver there. But he's not throwing the ball a whole lot lately. On the other side of the ball, obviously, Steph Diggs, I would say beyond Devontae Adams is the second best receiver from a fantasy standpoint this year. Probably the best value from where you would have had to draft him to what he did. But they got other weapons. Buffalo does. I was kind of surprised and disappointed to have the John Brown goose egg last week. That one kind of hurt.
Yeah,
Cole Beasley is, he's a lot like Julian Edelman was for Brady in New England for a while. Maybe not quite as prolific, but and then they got some secondary guys that can take the top off of a defense too. Gabe Davis and Ian McKenzie, though McKenzie might be a little banged up. With the blitz rates, I wouldn't be surprised to see Dawson Knox get in the end zone.
So he is my my dart throw tight end this week. Because of, as you mentioned, having Moss as more of their their goal line guy. You're losing that, and he's got a nice connection. Let me pull it up real quick. His last couple weeks had to have been pretty good. I have Dawson Knox on a fantasy team. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 out of his last 7 games has a touchdown.
Yeah, he's Mr. End Zone, and maybe some shorter passes with the blitzes and everything.
Yep.
Could bode well for him.
All right, let's move on to the next game so we can get to these lineups here.
Okay, we are looking at first game on Sunday, Cleveland Browns at Kansas City Chiefs. The Browns, who were the upset special of the week last week, This game opened at 54.5 over under and has moved to 57.5. These are numbers that you don't see very often in the NFL. The Chiefs are a 10.5 point favorite with an implied team total of 34. The Browns 23.5. Why don't you take the first stab at this one?
Okay, so real quick, I had mentioned that this game against the Steelers that the Browns just had reminded me of another big game that started out basically in the same fashion. Do you remember the first time the Seahawks Broncos, the Manning Super Bowl, the first time they made it to the Super Bowl with the Broncos, like the very first play, bad snap, Seahawks score, that was basically game over. You remember that game?
It's hazy, but a lot of
like very first play, botch snap goes past Peyton Manning, Seahawks scoop score. They end up winning the Super Bowl that year. Broncos make it back the next year. I think that was the year they went against Cam Newton, and Von Miller was like, hey, I'm really good at this game. It just had that same feel. That very first play where, there's a botch snap, the team scores. Your momentum immediately shifts. It just sucks the wind right out of you. And that's what that game looked like watching last week. The Browns, playing for their coach, who wasn't able to watch the game. He was sitting down in his basement. Did you hear the story about him? He didn't realize that he was he had paused it at one point in time, so he was 45 seconds behind, and his wife and kids were upstairs watching the game going absolutely nuts, and he couldn't figure out why.
I did not hear that. That's awesome.
It missed the first couple of minutes because he was behind by 45 seconds. It's just absolutely hilarious. Something all of us can relate to. You and I specifically, where we've been talking about games, and I've got my YouTube TV that's on a slight delay from where you were at with Xfinity, but really hilarious.
Yeah, you don't like to talk to me while games are going live.
To me, that is the only way the Browns are staying in this game, is if they get that freak, and I'm not saying the opening one, but like if they get that freak, like maybe special team score or something like that, and then can just run, because you can run on this team, you can run on the Chiefs, and the Browns have a very good run game. The problem is if they get 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns behind, are they going to have the discipline enough to keep running the ball? I'm not saying they don't have a chance to stay in this game. I think this is going to be a really fun game to watch. But I think the only way the Browns have a chance to win this game is if they get another one of those freak touchdowns, like special teams maybe, and then are able to really just run the clock out.
So some game notes. These are the two worst defensive teams left in the playoffs. Chiefs 22nd and Browns 25th overall DVOA. The Chiefs run defense is actually 29th DVOA, and that actually does bode well for the Browns. We've got
up 122 yards a game.
We've got a Nick Chubb, who's just been fantastic running the ball. We've got the Kareem Hunt revenge game narrative. We've got probably coach of the year candidate, Kevin Stefanski.
I think that'll go to maybe Flores, but
probably, yeah. but he, he's in the conversation.
No, he's done really good. I mean, Flores did it with a lot less talent. That's what I'm just less talent.
Sure, yeah. But they're riding high and they get the coach back. So, if they can keep the emotions from boiling over, I don't see it. The Browns defense gives up a lot of big plays deep, and that is the hallmark of the Chiefs offense. So I'm likely to, especially I think I heard today Sammy Watkins is out for this game. I will probably put something down on like a Mecole Hardman first touchdown. Just a small shot there, and maybe even put something on like 2 scores for Tyreek Hill this week.
Yeah, so the Browns giving up 247.6 pass yards per game, while the Chiefs are averaging 303.4 passing yards a game. The rushing part of it is where the Cleveland's got the advantage, averaging 148.4 yards a game, and Kansas City giving up 122, giving up the most rush yards per game out of any team left in it. Again, it's this one's interesting, and probably why the point total is so high. Where one team's offense is really good, that's where the other team's defense struggles, and vice versa. Hey, Mom, tuning in on Facebook. What's going on, Mom? Press the like and share button for us.
I better watch my mouth then.
Yeah, she might throw something at you virtually.
We're not talking about the Bears, so we're good.
Yeah, right.
Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, coming off a bye, have never scored less than 31 points. Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs have never scored less than 31 points. They're playing a bad defense. We might see a 50 spot here. I don't know.
I want to see if I can share something with you. Let's see. I'm going to try to add this. I was having me some fun. There we go. All right, so we're going to...
I would have to open the stream somewhere to probably
that's all right. We're gonna see if I can just add this real quick, and I'm just gonna throw it up here. There we go. So you might be able to see this on stream here in a second. But what I'm showing, ignore the title. I just didn't change the title on it. This is Kansas City's EPA per game, what they average per play gain. Versus what their opponent averaged giving up. And when you're looking at it, you can see their EPA way over what the average was for all these games, with the exception of Atlanta and the Raiders, interestingly enough, in the first game. So just monster, just a little fun thing there that I thought I'd throw up there. We'll go ahead and hide that and bring that back down. So, like I said, ignore the title on that. But that's Kansas City's EPA versus what their average defense is. That one's really interesting to me. Just watching how much they blew it out of the water.
Yeah. Play all your Chiefs.
Yep.
You know, contrarian play could be play a little bit of a Browns stack and bring it back with like 2 or 3 Chiefs. You know, this one's going to be hopefully it doesn't disappoint from a fantasy perspective. But
yeah, okay. So they did rule out CEH.
Oh, CEH is out too. Wow.
Yeah, he's been ruled out. That's why I was just looking up, because I had just read earlier that they had been limiting in his snaps. Man, one bourbon, I tell you. Limiting his snaps to see if maybe they could get him ready, but it looks like he is out. So maybe
Wonderful.
Some Darrell Williams this week.
Yeah. I mean, you know, they haven't really, when CEH has been out, I mean, Le'Veon Bell's a starter, but he's not been like a feature guy for sure. So
yeah, I'm wondering if they're doing that on purpose. Maybe limit him a little bit as he still gets used to it, because you got to imagine there's a lot to learn in that offense. But he didn't look bad the last week. I mean,
the games without CEH: Bell 11 for 40, 2 for 15, 7.
What was his last one?
7 for 30 and 1 for 9. And then,
What did he do receiving though?
1 for 9. That I think that's what that is. I think that's 1140 and then 2 catches for 15 and then 730 and 1 for 9. And then Williams in those games was 6 for 38 and 1 for 5 and then 10 for 46 and 4 for 27. So pretty balanced there between the two. Williams be a lower owned guy that you could maybe get some leverage with. So, and then I mean Travis Kelce. What I mean.
Yeah, I mean the interesting thing on Williams is if you also think that Kansas City is going to get this game pretty well in hand, he may get the rock the fourth quarter. Like he may just get it. So, but yeah. All right. Anything else on that game before we move on to the last game and get these lineups built?
No. And jump over to the
Geriatric Bowl
retirement matchup here.
The last ride, Drew Brees' last ride.
Is he? A couple of guys that are the same age bracket as me, so.
Yeah, they're actually older than me.
yeah.
Barely. Yeah.
So anyway, this game opened with an over under of 50. It's gone up to 52. The Saints are a 3-point favorite with an implied team total of 27.5 and 24.5 for the Buccaneers. Pretty balanced. The Saints won both of their regular season matchups. One podcast I was listening to this week was saying how Tom Brady's never lost to the same team 3 times in the season. And
he also hadn't lost to the same team 2 times in a season until this season.
I was gonna say he's been in a division that's been overall pretty terrible for much of his career. I doubt that he had ever faced a team 3 times in a season. Highly unlikely. And
I think he did with the Jets maybe 1 or 2 times back in the Rex Ryan days.
Okay.
I think.
But yeah, pretty much pretty ridiculous if you ask me. That try to throw that out as a stat that has any sort of meaning to it. Interesting. Both these teams got pretty good defenses, but they've got this total is creeping up. So I don't know. It might be one that I kind of bet towards the under. Both top 5 defenses in DVO pass and run.
So that same EPA that I was looking at before, where we look at the average that the defense gave up versus what the offense gave up. We talked about it. Tampa's got 4 games where they had a negative EPA per play, an average for that week. The 2 lowest that they have is almost a negative 0.2 and then a negative 0.4, and both of those are against the Saints. Like, this defense is just, they figured it out. They know what to do. Who knows what Mike Evans is actually going to be like from a health standpoint. They're starting Leonard Fournette. You don't have Rojo this week, it looks like.
Although they did say he practiced today. He came back to practice today.
All right, let me just pull it up. But I mean, either way, I don't know. It may just be one of those times too where this is that team. The Saints going, look, you wrote us off. Tom signed with the Bucks, and you wrote us off, and we've shown you twice. we've shown you twice that we can we can beat this team. I mean, what did they lose? They lost 23-34 and 3-38. So it's not like that second game was close, and that 3-38 was in Tampa. You know, now they're coming back. I don't know, man. I mean, I said it last week. If the defense can get to Tom, then the Bucks can lose. The thing with Washington is, despite Heineke's play, Heineke, like, props to the dude. He played a hell of a game for himself. He's not Drew Brees. He didn't have Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas. So with this defense and the Saints offense, I'm taking the Saints. I think you can play both sides, but I think this does have the possibility to maybe be one of those lower scoring, like 21-17 type games.
Which is funny. It's the second highest total on the week.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's possible because you look at the two teams' offenses and you go, "Wow, these guys can score."
Yeah, So
when you get to the third matchup, it's when you get to the third matchup, we've seen it before. It comes down to the defense.
Interestingly, I think the defensive end, Patrick Robinson, for the Saints, he's banged up. He might not play in this game. No, I think Latavius Murray's been ruled out, which means it's all Alvin Kamara. And there's been and Taysom Hill hasn't been practicing. We saw him get beat up pretty bad last week. If he doesn't play, that takes a lot of the flexibility that Sean Payton has in the offense off the table.
Yeah, he's even in the rest of their running back squad. I just looked. Latavius Murray is questionable as of Wednesday. That has not been updated since then. Dwayne Washington, Ty Montgomery. What week was it with the Saints did not have basically any running backs? They called up their practice squad guys.
It was week 17 when they didn't have anything to play for. They just went ahead and ran Ty Montgomery out there as their starting running back. But I don't think you can take anything from that. They were.
It was not that week because that was Alvin Kamara week.
Oh, that was Alvin Kamara 6 touchdown week. Then it was the week before. No, it was week 17. Alvin Kamara 6 touchdowns was on Christmas.
Oh, no. Sorry. I'm looking at Latavius Murray's here. Hang on. Yep. That's why.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Against the Panthers. Yeah.
Yep. So they did activate Tre'Quan Smith off of IR this week. I don't really think that does a whole lot. We saw Deontay Harris tear up the Bears last week. So and he did more last week in that game than I think Tre'Quan Smith did all year.
Yeah,
Emmanuel Sanders does average 1 end zone target per week, which is actually above average.
Yeah. Ty Montgomery, 18 attempts, 105 yards in that game against Carolina. So again, if you're looking for a low owned dart throw, because they do tend to not just say Kamara play the entire game. We'll see. I'm not saying to play him. I'm just saying if you want to like really differentiate yourself, he'd be an interesting like flex play.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a feeling about this game, and I don't know if it's just because of all the jokes with the old man bowl and all that coming on that this game's just going to end up being kind of a.
I hope it's a shootout. I hope it ends up being the two old guys just trying to one up each other. And
So they can't move their arms the next day. Like
the problem
afterwards, they
is,
just
I
get
don't know
slathered
if
in Bengay.
I don't know if Breeze can get it downfield anymore. That's the problem. We've seen Tom throw a better deep ball this year than we had probably in the last 3 or 4 years with the Patriots.
Yep.
So, but
That
he's
is
got the best trio. I mean, yeah, does he got? It's the best trio of wide receivers. You think
Oh,
better than Pittsburgh? I don't.
yes.
I
Not
think
even.
so.
Yeah, it's not even close. It's not even close. Like I don't even put Pittsburgh in the same conversation. Your number 3 is Antonio Brown. Your number 3.
Yeah, I think he's your number 2.
I would call him your number 2. Are you going to complain when Chris Godwin's your number 3?
No, Chris Godwin. Yeah.
I mean, I don't care how you order it. Okay, put Evans 1, Brown 2, Godwin 3.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
right,
like
go
it's
Evans,
like
Godwin,
1A.
Brown,
It's like 1A, 1B, and 1C. So
I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, like I look at Seattle, they have Metcalf and Lockett. It's a really, really good combination. You look at the Rams, they've got Kupp, who we didn't even really talk about, is banged up and may not play, at least not well, with Robert Woods. The Saints, you've got Michael Thomas, and Sanders is up there. You've got Traquan Smith, or I mean, really, you've got Alvin Kamara. We'll call him as number 2, but like to get three of them that are all that could be the 1 or the 2 on any other team, not even close. Not even close.
why do you think Tom went to Tampa?
The Robert Kraft masseuse, right. I don't. Maybe that's why he's throwing a good deep ball. All right.
I don't know, but I want Tom Brady's hair guy. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Whoever's putting those plugs in is doing a good job.
So the funny thing, that picture where it's them old, Brady still looks pretty good, and Breeze looks like the creepy guy driving the van with no windows. Like it.
Brady looks like Brett Favre in that picture.
Like Brett Favre and George Clooney had a baby. All right, let's build some lineups. Let's build some lineups.
Yeah. Let's get it.
All right, let me pull that up here. Get you all set. Let's go build some lineups.
All right. You want me to throw? I'll throw the one lineup that I made earlier this week. Let's do it. No correlations, hardly at all, and I don't like it for anything other than like a dart throw. And this, I'm just gonna throw these names out at you real quick. This isn't the lineup that I'm building on the fly here. This is just the lineup I did build. We got Mahomes.
So you're not building this lineup?
No, it's already built. We're gonna build something different. But
boy.
This is Mahomes, Chubb, Cam Akers, Michael Thomas, Gabriel Davis, Deontay Harris, Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, and the Rams D.
Okay.
All kinds of negative correlations there. So that's why I don't really love it. I don't know what the hell. It's just some salaries that fit together.
All right.
So
let's go through your actual. You're going to build a lineup this way.
So I am going to go ahead and put in Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
And let's see. And then I want to pair him with Hill.
Okay.
And what do I want to cover? I think
if you're tuning in, this is called professional preparation.
Wait till it gets down to like 15 minutes before lock, and I'm still trying to build 3 lineups tomorrow.
That's amazing.
The good news is it's only one game at a time. So if I really, I'm not gonna probably have a ton in that first game, so I can still be tweaking the lineups, not anything.
I was gonna say, for as slow as you're going, I'm not so sure you're not tweaking now.
Suck it. So I want Cam Akers.
Okay.
I think that at 5,700, he's one of the best values on the slate.
Interesting.
And then this is where it starts getting tough for me. Because he's involved in the passing game, he's cheap. I don't love the matchup, but let's go ahead and put Fournette in there. I don't know. There's so many options you could go, but
I feel like maybe I should have built mine first because I've got it, and then you can plug in afterwards.
No. We're already into it here, so let's put Dawson Knox at the tight end. We talked about that play.
Yep.
I'm gonna go ahead and pair the Rams in there with Cam Akers.
Defense.
That's a good correlation.
And I absolutely love their value at 2,600. Like, because they've got the potential there to wreck. Now, that by itself should tell you not to play the Rams, but
so I've got an average of 5,900 here. I kind of want to go up and grab Steph Diggs here. See what that does with my
5,200 per position here.
5,200. Since I didn't put Kelsey in this lineup, and I want the points. I want all the points. I'm gonna go ahead and throw Miko Hardman in. Also, we're gonna double stack that. That leaves me 6,500 for the flex. And what can I do here? I think the one spot that you can beat the Saints in the best spot, I think, is the slot. And so I'm going to go ahead and slot Chris Godwin in there at the flex.
All right. So Mahomes, Akers, Fournette, Diggs, Godwin, Hardman, Knox, Hill, Ramsey. All right, let's see. That's cash game. Let me set this at GPP. 197.14 is your upside. All right. Probably take that. That's gonna do pretty decent. All right. I built this one a little bit earlier. By a little bit, I mean about 10 minutes before we started. All right, so I too, when looking at running back, I took Akers and Kareem Hunt, the receiving back for the Browns in a game that I suspect that they will be behind in. I also have J.K. Dobbins in here. The thing I do not like about this is that it puts my flex position, even if I switch it out and put Hunt in, that I don't like not having my flex be the late game. It's the one thing I don't like about this. But I think Dobbins has a really good position, or really good chance of being a good scorer in this game. Same with Akers. I went with Aaron Rodgers, and I did plug in Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill. Like I said, I think they're going to move Adams around quite a bit, and I still think he's just going to get peppered with targets. That could be the biggest bust, though, of all of them, maybe. So Tyreek Hill, I also went with Robert Tonyan in this one. I doubled up on Packers there. And then for the comeback with it, I've got Josh Reynolds again. I mentioned because Cooper Kupp is banged up, and we're not really sure how his knee's going to respond. And then I also did go with the Rams defense. Again, this is not the best correlation because I've got Rodgers, Adams, Tonyan going up against my defense. But when you're talking about 4 games, you run out of options fairly quickly. My upside is much lower than yours. I'm at 181.66.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this slate, the way this slate's lining up, is that it's not the best running back slate. So having either a tight end or a receiver in that flex spot, I think will give you more upside.
So I can easily drop out Dobbins in that flex spot and put in like a Antonio Brown, who I think will have a decent target share. You can also look at somebody like Jarvis Landry.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get down. You can go Emmanuel Sanders, or you can go Harris at that point. So it'd be interesting that, dropping Dobbins and putting in Brown only moves the ticker on the upside 0.06. So not a huge difference as far as what they're looking at the upside there.
Well, and it probably is. They probably, they're taking into effect that the point total for the Chiefs is at 34 versus like 27 for the Packers, and so that's a whole touchdown that you take away. So
yeah, so if I drop out Adams and Brown and put Kamara into my flex spot, I've got 67 sitting there at wide receiver that I can put in a Mike Thomas. I can put in Evans or Gott. Basically you can't put in Adams, Hill, or Diggs, but everything else is wide open as far as putting another receiver in there. So
sure. No, the thing is that I think your ownership is probably much lower in the game that you that you chose to stack around. So
yeah, the original build. Yeah. Totally.
I think it's hard to say there's a wrong build. You could talk yourself into a lot of different things on a short slate. You want to get the only thing I don't think I could justify putting any money towards is a Jared Goff stack. That's about the only thing I'd say. I could make an argument for Baker Mayfield lineup, and then I could make an argument for I think you can play Lamar Jackson without any stack. You can bring it back with some Bills and go to some other stuff.
Yeah, so I just for fun, I dropped out Tonyan and put in Dawson Knox, and then I was able to put Harrison at my wide receiver spot. So I've got a little more exposure in that last game.
And I don't even know
if
a
little bit of correlation against the Rams defense.
I don't even know if Harris is the right play. Like, I had him in that first lineup that I spit out to you, but I didn't realize that Tre'Quan Smith was going to be coming back this week. And if you look at it, Deontay Harris only played 29% of the routes for the Saints,
Yeah.
and that just tells you how awful the Bears were because he was getting.
I mean, they were paying so much attention to Kamara and Thomas. I mean,
For sure.
That's really, and I mean, we were playing without a safety in a corner. I mean, when you really look at it, no Buster Screen, no Jalen Johnson, and so Fuller was on Thomas, and then we were, putting Trevathan on Kamara, which whatever, but.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's not get into that. The other options in that spot are to put in a Hardman, which I do like that play. I just like having somebody in that late game. Love having somebody in the late game because you don't want to score all your points and then have an entire game where you don't have anybody playing.
Yeah. So.
All right, man. You got any last thoughts before we call it?
No, man. I think that I mean the divisional round is usually like some of the best football of the year. When you get it down to the final 8 teams. We've got the old guard NFC playoff quarterbacks, and we've got the new guard AFC playoff quarterbacks. Got some. I think we've got 2 great matchups this week, and then we've got a couple of other interesting. I mean, I don't. Nobody gave the Browns any chance last week. And so kudos to them. I think this is even more of an uphill battle. So here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to make my picks. I'm going to say Green Bay -6.5. I'm going to go ahead and give up the 10.5 and take Kansas City. I will take. I'm going to take the Ravens +2.5.
And you're going out of order here.
I am.
Killing me.
And I'm gonna take the. Damn it! I don't know on that one. I'm gonna take the Bucks. Said with no confidence.
All right. So, Robbo, first of all, thank you so much for the like there. Really appreciate that. You need Green Bay to cover the 6.5. Sounds like somebody's got some money on there. You know what? They can do whatever they want as long as they lose. That's where I'm at. Joe, what's up, buddy?
They're not gonna lose and cover the 6.5. So.
I'm just saying they can do whatever they want as long as it's losing. Joe, what's up, buddy? Browns are surprising this year. Yeah, you know what though? I don't know that they are that surprising. Like when you look at it, at some point in time, talent has to take over. They played most of the year without Odell, but I mean, you've got some talented tight ends, you've got some talented receivers, your running backs are really good. So interestingly enough, I was talking about what was I talking about? Good Morning Football. So Good Morning Football was talking about the Baker Mayfield and Patrick Mahomes history. And so if you don't know the history, it's really cool. Just really quick. Mayfield was at Texas Tech when they hosted Mahomes to try to get him to come there. So they just hung out and like played video games and stuff. So Mayfield did that to get Mahomes there, and then Mayfield goes off, and so when they faced each other in college, do you remember that game? It was like a 66 to like 59 score or something like that. It was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Joe, thank you for those 50, man. You're the man, dude. From Disney too. I like that you rub that in every time. Joe's like, hey, 50, but I'm at Disney, so screw you.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy. Really appreciate it. I hope you're having fun.
Have a Mickey bar for me, Joe.
Browns will cover 10 but lose. Yeah. So anyway, they go back and forth. I mean, just back and forth. Baker throws for like 7 touchdowns. Mahomes throws for 5 touchdowns, rushes for 2, but he throws for like 700 yards. Like, it's just absolutely absurd game.
College, yeah.
No way that happens this week. You know, you're not gonna see that. If it does, that'd be, you know, the Rams KC game basically, right? That was the Goff Mahomes back and forth, what, 2 years ago. You're not gonna see that this time, but just really interesting little thing there. So the picks last week, just FYI, you won. You picked 3 correctly.
Wow.
Nope, sorry, you picked 4 correctly. You had Buffalo, you had Tampa, you had Baltimore, and you had New Orleans. So you actually picked 4 correctly. I did the exact opposite. I only picked 2 correctly. So I have to be a little more out there to come back on this one. Robbo, thanks. Joe says he will have one of those Mickey bars. Robbo, have a good one. Appreciate you stopping by. I will go Rams, Bills, Chiefs, and Saints. So it gives me a chance here to flip the script and actually take the lead going into the conference championships. So ought to be a fun weekend of football again. 4 more games this weekend, buddy. 4 more games this weekend. You got anything else left before we call it?
I mean, we could start talking about prop bets all night long, but
yeah, I don't want to do that.
It's just going to cost me money. So.
All right. Well, I have nothing else other than to say to everybody that stopped by, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. It's better than just talking to Justin. So thank you. We will. I imagine we'll be back next week again for conference championship, and then probably Super Bowl. We'll do one more just for S's and G's. Hoping to get a little more of these some of these stats with some of those graphs that are some interesting stuff that I find entertaining. Stick around. I believe we're gonna do some COD, a little Call of Duty.
I'm jumping on. I'm finishing up my Hop Slam here, and I got a little bourbon.
So there it is. We'll take a break, see if I can fire up a Call of Duty stream, and we'll talk to you guys later. Until next week, have a good one.
Peace.